65 or older have this ability to vote, must vote absentee. Tell me who notifies people who are 65 or older. Who does the notification? So if I, on the last day of election and I don't know what's going on, who tells folk who are 65 or older who do not have a picture on their driver's license? How do they know?
We need to go back into recess. Hear from Mr. Goins.
Senator Harper, I think that you're wise to point that out. In fact, if you remember when we first heard this piece of legislation, one of the things that we talked about was when you looked at Indiana, they learned through their process where it passed a piece of legislation similar to this that you have to get the education out there. And that will actually be on our office. Initially, we will do some press releases. We certainly will have the administrators across the state as much as possible, get some local news media in that regard. But at the same time, you realize there's certainly going to be some folks at 65 years old that's going to have photo identification as well. But so there'll just be general education across the state, and that's something that in the beginning we have committed to do and we will do, as with any legislative change that could affect on election day. So massive education.
So you're going to start, once this bill passes, you're going to start telling everyone.
I think once this bill passes, everyone will be informed initially through the proper news channels, because I believe they will cover this legislation. But certainly as we near election time next year, there would be a concerted effort, not just from our office, but also from the local administrators of elections, to make sure that folks know this. I mean, this is a situation where you're going to have to educate, in general, the law. But that is typically with any election law, that you need to make sure that the voters are informed of what is required to go vote.
So we should just wait and see, right?
I certainly have the confidence in the local level and myself as far as education. You know, the key to it is we will have advanced time as far as knowing going forward, presumably if this were to pass this session, and get the word out there.
All right.
So we'll have a game plan, in other words.
I'd be interested in what that game plan is, and then I'd be interested in you doing a survey after your game plan is in place to see how many people are aware of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
No further questions for Mr. Goins. Senator Burchett had asked to be recognized.
Mr. Chairman, if there weren't any further questions, I was going to call for the question on the bill.
Senator Haynes had a question, and we'll get right to that. Senator Haynes.
And Senator Burchett, I'll try not to have any more questions because I know you're in a hurry. But this is pretty important when we're excluding people from voting. And it looks like to me that we just create a fiscal note. Now maybe we want to say that all this notice, all this publication by our locals, and he didn't mention his office, that this won't cost anything. I don't believe that's true. So I think we just create a fiscal note, whether we recognize it or not. It's going to cost government some money to educate people that don't have a photo ID, that fall in this category. If you don't have a driver's license, you don't have a photo ID, you've got to vote absentee. That's the only way you can vote. Now, that's a little bit ridiculous that you're forcing somebody to vote absentee to vote. Matter of fact, that's a little bit stupid.
No further questions. Questions have been called.